Okay. We're running really short of time here, so I was going to spend a few minutes having you all talk about what you wrote. But I think that rather than do that, I think I'll just I handed out the blue sheet. This is a petition that we actually drafted in this particular case. And I just want to point out a couple of things here. There would be a cover sheet, so you'd have that scale cover sheet that we've already talked about that would go with this, that would contain the names and that stuff. But notice that you've got a kind of fairly complicated factual pattern here, fact scenario. But the petition's really just barely more than a page long. It's pretty short. And so you don't have to put in your petition every single little fact. For example, one of the good questions that came up while the tables were working on this in their small groups was in allegation 5 in the petition, it says Bobby Jones is behind in meeting his developmental milestones, particularly in the area of speech. His developmental delays are the result of parental inability to properly parent the child. The question was, well, where's the evidence of that? Understand that in your petition, you don't have to put the evidence in your petition. You make only the allegation. Now, I couldn't prove this allegation without evidence, right? So I'd have to have what? Evidence, number one, that the child is in fact delayed in his speech, number two. And then number three, that some expert would come in and say, but for the parents' incapacities in being able to meet this child's needs, this child would be on target developmentally. So I might have a developmental psychologist come in, a social worker who's done a psychosocial evaluation on this child, somebody who could come in and say, why is this child's speech so delayed? If I didn't do that, then the court would be correct to say, you have not proven allegation number 5, and the court does not rely on that in any way in making whatever decision it may make. Okay? So, but understand that you don't necessarily in your petition have to make every kind of step in your analysis. You can simply allege that the child's developmentally delayed. The reason the child's developmentally delayed is that the parents are not properly parenting the child, as opposed to say the child's got an organic brain damage or some other vitamin deficiency maybe, or something else that would be delaying his or her growth or speech or whatever the issue is. Notice also that in this particular county where we filed this petition, it's appropriate to just cite this, like in paragraph 11 and 12. Each of the citations is just that. It's a citation to a particular statute. In some counties, they want you to write out each of these sections. So you'd write out the paragraph 19B3B Romanet 3. And you'd have to write out that paragraph and what it says. So each county does it again a little bit differently. The point of this, though, is, remember, you've got to put the parent on notice. And the parent's lawyers will be on notice that these are the specific provisions of the law that you're asking the court to take some action regarding. If you turn it over on the back, you'll notice that there's actually a paragraph that has the prayer for relief. Specifically, because of all of these allegations and these things, then the court should terminate parental rights of each of the parents as to each of the children, right? And so it has the prayer for relief right in there, and there can be no confusion or no question about what it is that you're asking the court to do, and the parents have no standing to complain that they've not been adequately notified about what it is that you're going to ask the court to do. Question? Yep, you absolutely could. You could completely invert this and start with the prayer for relief, and then put the legal citations and then the factual allegations. In one county where I work, sometimes they require each, like a factual allegation under 19BG, say. They want you to write out the whole paragraph. The court should terminate parental rights because the parent fails to provide proper care and custody for the child without regard to intent, given the child's age, and that they're unlikely to do so in the reasonably foreseeable future. So you write out the paragraph, and then you under that specifically make allegations to that paragraph. And then you write out the next paragraph. Maybe it's 19 B3J. The parent, if this child's returned home, there's a likelihood that the child will be harmed again. And then restate every allegation. And in doing it that way, you may state the same allegation 4 or 5 times in your petition. This way of doing it, as I've given you in this example, is I think a bit more efficient. You only state things once, and at the end you say, here are all the reasons based on these facts why the court may terminate parental rights, and the court ought to do so. Okay? Other questions, comments about this situation? Anything? Any questions about anything we've talked about today? I promised I might try to get you out of here about noon, and it's getting a little after, so. Anything? Okay, I think we've already distributed the evaluation. We're also going to distribute a little post-test. It's really quick, it's really easy, and so if you just want to leave the evaluation and the post-test right on your table, that would be just great.